Now it's time to get the inside scoop on all the electricity going on in Mississippi Thunder Speedway. It's time for Thunder Talk with Dan Bailey, brought to you by Jailhouse Saloon. Now, here's your host, Dan Bailey.
This Friday night, Mississippi Thunder Speedway once again will be silent. That road construction in the Fountain City area still has the highway closed, but we're all looking forward to the big two-day special coming up Thursday and Friday of the 4th of July weekend. It's the 11th annual River City Rumble. That's right, you heard me correctly. Thursday and Friday, this year's River City Rumble is a two-day extravaganza. Heck, 3 days if you want to head on over on Wednesday. They'll be having an open practice session on Wednesday night, but then the green flag and all the activities and the fun will happen Thursday and Friday of next week. So that'll be the Thursday and Friday of the 4th of July weekend. They're going to have fireworks both nights. Word on the street is they're going to have a smoking hot band on Thursday night after the races are done, and of course the best dirt track action in the area. And the gentleman joining us in this week's edition of Thunder Talk is enjoying some of the best dirt track action. Joining us this week is Scott Kunda, driver of the number 48K from the Jailhouse Saloon USRA Hobby Stock Division. First of all, Scott, welcome to Thunder Talk.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
I want to go through the standard introduction. Let these radio listeners know, who is this Scott Kunda dude? How did you get started in racing? How long you been doing it? What are your first memories that got you hooked on the sport of roundy round dirt track racing?
Well, it started way back in the early 80s when my parents kind of entered in the 70s, early 70s, 80s when my parents introduced us to the racetrack. Back in the day, I don't know how you remember some of them older drivers. Back in the day, some of the older favorite drivers of ours was Leroy Sharkey, Joey Watorek, Carl Fensky, and just some of the old-time drivers that have been around for a long time.
Were you always a fan of automobilia, or was this kind of like an eye-opening moment when you realized that there was this whole other world out there that was drawing your attention?
I always kind of was a fan of going fast. My parents owned a 1967 Dodge RT 446 back, so that car kind of did a little bit of outrageous speed.
So for the 2019 season, you are campaigning a USRA Hobby Stock. Now, the last couple of seasons, you spent some time behind the wheel of a B-Mod, and I have to be honest with you, boy, it seemed like you just struggled with the worst luck of just about any racer I'd seen on the track. But it sure seems to me that this change into the Hobby Stock division has been the exact perfect remedy, because you're enjoying some success this year.
Yeah, I kind of enjoyed the change myself. I think it's a little more stress-free. Being a truck driver over the road, takes a lot of time-consuming moments of itself. So by the time I get home on a Thursday or Friday, I'm trying to bust your butt on as much as you can to get the car ready. Being in a B-Mod, they take a lot of shop time in order to be really competitive. And with this hobby stock, it's a little easier to do. There is stuff to do, but there isn't as much to do to kind of go over things with a fine-tooth comb. I mean, it's just so much easier to get this car ready than the B-Mod.
I'm interested in this hobby stock that you are driving this year. What can you tell us about the car? Where'd you pick it up? What type of chassis is it?
It is a 2017 Voodoo chassis. I purchased the car from Justin Waka, which drove that in IMCA down in the Boone, Iowa area. The car has qualified for the Boone Nationals for the last 3 years, and I do believe, if I remember him telling me, I do believe he got a top 10 in the car in the Nationals either last year or the prior year with that same car.
We don't see too many Voodoo chassis up here in the Mississippi Thunder Speedway area. Is the change that you made from that B-Mod to this Voodoo chassis hobby stock been a comfortable change for you? Are you finding that this is the exact black magic package you needed to bring you some success this year?
I think it's been like I said before, it's been a lot more fun for me, and it's more enjoyable. I'm actually having a little more fun even with the not being so successful on a few of the nights that I didn't finish one night. I tried to get a brake line fixed on the car, and I snapped off one of the fittings on the caliper and couldn't even get a start, which kind of really put a damper on my point race for the year. I probably would have been up a lot higher, probably in the mid 6 to 7 range, and I just dropped out, and just now I'm starting to pick it back up, and I'm hoping I can break that top 5 before the end of the season.
Well, I'll tell you what, it looks like momentum is on your side, aside from that one evening when you couldn't quite make it to that feature, but you are literally just outside the top 10. I think there's 6 or 7 points separating separating you, sitting in 11th place in the point standings, from the gentleman who's in 10th. But even with that, you've gotten a couple of heat race wins. You've got 3 top 10s, a top 5 feature finish already. All in all, it sure looks like things are going your way for 2019.
Yeah, but it's definitely starting to pick up, and my wife's starting to enjoy it a little more, too. So, I mean, Sheila supports the racetrack, and I was kind of disappointed my first heat race win this season. My wife decided not to show up to the racetrack, and I really had to tape that, and I felt so bad she couldn't be there to see that very first ever win. I've been chasing these race car wins or finishes since about the early 1989 area when I started driving street stock. Drove for about 10 years until right after about a year, Fox Ridge Speedway at Arcadia decided to close down the doors. I gave up racing about a year or two later after that, and I gave it about a 10-year break and just got this wild intuition to get back into a bay mod, and did that for 6 years. This would have been my 6th season. I did that for 5, and so this is my 6th year back racing since I took a 10-year break.
You know, when you were talking about your wife, you used a very important word, and that was support. It doesn't matter what level of racing we are in, whether it's a late model or a Hornet or a 600 mod, or like you're driving this year, a hobby stock. There is always a need for some help, but support is always welcome. Tell us, in addition to your family, who's helping out Kunda Racing for 2019?
You know, I gotta give a shout out to all my sponsors. If I ever needed anything out of them, Economy Specialty Services down there in Monona, they offer their hoist if I ever need it. Big shout out to the Williamson racing crew, Tim and Alex, and everybody that helps them guys. If I ever need a helping hand, they're always there to lend one if they've got time. My brothers, they try to help me when they can, and just kind of whoever can get out there that night and just kind of give us a helping hand. That's pretty much it.
You know, I remember when you came back with the first round of the B-Mod, and ever since that first run, every season you have come up with some stellar, eye-catching visuals for the display of your car. Are you artistically minded? Do you put these paint jobs or graphic jobs together, or do you let the individual who's going to be doing the graphics on your car present you some ideas and they end up looking so well?
Yeah, the first couple of years I just let it in the hands of a very well-known old street stock racer who used to be around the track. His name was Mike Conrad, the driver of the 76 back in the day, VelocityVinyl.com. He does a heck of a job, and in my opinion, that first B-Mod that I ever had that won the Deer Creek Car Show Best of Show, I think was one of my best-looking cars still to this day, minus the second one, and really artistic, Mr. Sean Krause. He has got one talent of painting cars, and I got to give him a shout-out for the wonderful work he did on my second trophy with that car, Best of Show.
I want to ask you about what you would consider, what it would take for you to consider 2019 a successful season, because here we are, round about mid-season, and as I had mentioned earlier, you're only 7 points, out of the top 10 in the point standings. You have had a couple of heat race wins. At the end of this year, when all the racing is done, what would it take for you to look back on this year and say, you know what, that was a good year. I am really happy with how 2019 went.
A good look back, in my opinion, will be to hope to keep the car in one piece for the season, and just keep having fun and just keep packing away. I'm hoping one of these weeks that I may get a little better draw up there and start up on the front and just go from there. I'm thinking I've got a competitive car enough to win. I'm just chasing a little bit of a problem with it right now, and I think it could have been a lot more competitive and may have had something for that 0-1 of Travis Krause.
Well, I tell you what, you said one of the requirements for a successful season was knowing that you had some fun, and I tell you, when I am in the announcer stand, 99% of the time when you're not driving, you end up standing right down below me in the grandstands, and I'm seeing a lot more smiles in 2019 than I did in 2018 and 2017, so it sure seems like you're headed in the right direction, buddy. Congratulations on a great start for 2019, and we wish you the best of luck for the remainder of this season. Scott Kunda, driver of the number 48K, thanks for joining us this week on Thunder Talk.
I will see you next week, Dan. Thank you.
Well, we appreciate Scott joining us this week on Thunder Talk. Don't forget, race fans, no racing this Friday night at Mississippi Thunder Speedway, but we get back into it full bore next week because we have that 2-night 11th annual River City Rumble, Thursday and Friday. And as I said earlier, you could make it a 3-day affair if you wanted to come out Wednesday and watch some practice sessions, absolutely free for all of us spectators in the grandstands. All of the details can be found at the Mississippi Thunder Speedway website, which is MississippiThunder.com.
Come on down to the jailhouse saloon. The Jailhouse Saloon is where everyone wants to do time. Come on in and nab up some of the best homemade pizza around. The Jailhouse has happy hour weekdays from 2 until 6, free pool on Mondays, and lunch every day at a great price.
The Jailhouse Saloon where everyone wants to do time.